Alright YouTube, what I got here is a design I've been working on for a couple days, and I think I finally got it finished. I haven't even cut it yet. This will be the first time on camera that I've actually tried to cut it. But what it is it's a sheriff's office star, and it's for a K9 unit. So I actually had to pretty much draw most of this by hand to get it to work out. This circle over here that's got nothing in the center, what I did is after I got everything lined up, I just highlighted everything or copied it and then put it over here. That way these marks, these crosses or whatnot, pluses, whichever you want to call it, that is what I use as my registration marks. I know some people use squares, circles. I actually prefer the cross because you can get, for decals like this one, you can actually get the detailed lines down to where it don't show the fault or a little bit of a hangover or anything like that. So I just took this decal here, copied it, and it was exactly this, and I just deleted everything out of the center, leaving this outer ring. Reason being is my registration marks are going to be exactly the same as over here. I want this to be a solid piece of black, and instead of, when you put this over top of that, when it comes time to cut it with the Silhouette Cameo, for the ones that use that, it's hard to click on that line to hit cut or to not cut, no cut, whichever you want to call it. So what I did is I just made it separate. So I'll cut this piece out, and once I cut this piece out, then I'll get into cutting the others. So for now, I'm going to take and highlight all this and just slide this over to the side, and then bring this one up right there. Alright, so I'm going to be using black, gray, and blue vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and get that set up and get it cut. I've got my colors here. I'm going to go ahead and get these cut out to the right size. I'm making the decal itself. I'm going to make it 5 inches tall by 5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut these at 6 wide and just leave that long piece. I can trim it off later. And now to do the black. Alright. Now that I have those cut, I'm going to get everything else set. I'm using the Silhouette, see if you can see that, 12 by 12 mat, and like I said, I just went ahead and laid this whole piece of vinyl out. I'm going to go ahead and get the decal, let it cut here, and whatever I have left off, I always keep my scraps, so I'll cut it and just set it off to the side and save it. So I'm going to cut one piece at a time, and then we'll go from there. So now I'm going to come over here to the cut tab. And as you can see right now, the lines are red, but they're not highlighted red, so I'm going to hit cut. And now it highlights it red, showing that that's what it's going to cut. And this one's going to be a simple cut because I'm just cutting out my registration marks in the circle. So I'm going to come down here and pick vinyl. It says set my blade to 1 and the speed is 5. That's all automatically set, and I'll never change it. Just make sure I have my blade at the right size. And then hit send to Silhouette. Circle cut. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to grab that because that's all grouped together, get it out of the way, and I'm going to drag my mouse over top of this, make sure I get every one of them so I don't leave anything behind. Zoom it back in where I can tell what I'm doing here. I'm going to move this up a little bit more and closer to the edge. And for the ones that's new in this, on the Silhouette Cameo, you have, I don't know if you can see where my cursor is, but you have a red border around the edges. That right there is your cut border. If you have a decal, for example, if you have a decal that's hanging over that border, then it's going to cut that part off. So you have to be within the red border for it to end up on your vinyl or your piece that you're cutting. I need to move this to the left just a little bit more. Alright, now I have my gray loaded. I'm going to go over here to my cut window, and of course all of it is no cut right now. I'm going to cut out the K9, the stars, and the unit, and see how that highlights everything red and everything else is like a faded red. The highlighted red or the darker red is what the machine is going to cut. I'm also going to cut the badge in gray, so all of this is going to be gray, and mind you, it's going to have a black background also. And I think I might wait and cut the dog head. I'll go ahead and cut the dog head too. Alright, so now everything is in gray. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the vinyl again and click send to Silhouette. Alright, it's done cutting, and what I just noticed, I have not taken this vinyl out of the Silhouette Cameo yet. What I just noticed is, sometimes I get ahead of myself, my registration marks here are not ready to be cut. Alright, so what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to hope that it works, is I'm going to click that and hit cut, and then do the same for this, and then I'm going to hit no cut on these, and hopefully, like I said, by me not removing it from the Silhouette Cameo, it shouldn't change anything, and it should just go ahead and cut these marks here. So let's go ahead and pray that it does that. It did cut it, thank goodness. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my cut tab, and I'm going to click my blue line, and I'm going to hit cut. Alright, once again, I actually have my registration marks ready to be cut this time, and it's also going to cut everything right here that's highlighted red. It's going to cut out into my blue color. So let's go ahead and send that to the Silhouette and get that cut out. I've got all three pieces here cut. I don't know if you can see it with the light, but it did cut them. So now I'm just going to cut off the excess and go ahead and weed them out. Alright, I have this cut. Here's the badge in gray. And here's my solid circle of black. And there's my thin blue line that I'm going to do. And what I was talking about being intricate when I drew this, and as far as using the registration marks with the cross, if these, and I'm hoping they do, but if these lines here that I had to draw out doesn't perfectly match up with these, then it's going to show. It's going to look bad. Then I'm going to be in, have to trash all of this. So I'm hoping that it's going to work out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my transfer paper. And what I always do is I go with the biggest decal. I don't know if y'all, let me turn where y'all can see what I'm doing here. I start with the biggest decal. That way I know I cut my transfer tape the right size. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to work this decal backwards, because the blue will have to go over top of the gray, and then the gray and the blue will go over top of the black. And what I'm noticing here is if I throw the blue over top of the gray now with the K9's head here, it's going to cover that. I don't want it to do that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to pull the K9's head out and see if I can save it. And if I can't, then I'll just recut it, this decal right here, and leave all this other out and do nothing but the K9 head. What I did was I took this and put them together, held them up to my light where I could see through the paper, and just took the K9 head and kind of, I usually don't do it that way, but I just kind of eyeballed it because I really didn't feel like cutting another one. And it stuck to it. And hopefully when I do all this, it's going to line up. So what I'll do now is I'll take my transfer tape. Let me double check it, make sure I got it right. Turn where you can see. Get this junk out the way. Alright, I'm going to let that fall. Get them pressed down pretty good so the paper will pick it up. Alright, now I got the tacky side up. I have a scrap piece of backing paper that's pretty big. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay this on top of that, leaving nothing but my registration marks right here. Do that so you can see. So I'm leaving nothing but my registration marks. That way I can use them to line up my next decal. Decal's kind of, anytime you use vinyl in the roll, it's going to have a memory to it. As y'all can see, it's not flat. That can mess you up when you're trying to do layers. So I've got another Silhouette mat here that's lost half of its tackiness. So I'm going to use that to put this down to hold it flat, so I can make sure that I get these crosses lined up. Bear with me, I'm going to have to cut this other light on so I can see. And I'm just going to press them down real hard to make sure they get a good adhesion. Lift the backing paper off. And what I do is I kind of let gravity do its thing, but I use this squeegee and I'll go down easily to make sure it has no air bubbles. Remove it from the mat. Now, work it on there to where it adheres to that. And so far, cut that light back off. So far, this is what it looks like. So we're looking good so far. Now all I gotta do is peel this one off and add it back to the black one. Sure, all these pieces. Sometimes when you're reusing transfer paper, it ain't as sticky as it was the first go round. So you might have to really work on some of them little small pieces to get them to lift up. Alright, turn that one upside down. And just repeat the same process. I'm going to lay this down. Let me get my old mat back again. Now what I do is, this is a solid piece. I'm going to drag this felt squeegee over top of it just to make sure I don't have any dust on it that'll cause any bubbles. Alright, now I'm going to repeat this process again. I'm just going to line these crosses up. I kind of play with it. When I think I have it right, I'll wiggle it just to make sure. Like I said, that's why I like these crosses, because I used to use the squares and not do the circles, but some reason I'd always be just a touch off. And with these crosses, I mean, you got very little room to screw up, because it's going to show you if it's off. So I'm going to lift this up, remove that backing paper, let gravity do its thing. Now I'm going to peel it off of the backing paper. know if you can see that with the light, but that's the decal. And for the ones that don't know, now here you can tell I did get off just a touch, but like I said, this was my first one, but sometimes it's hard to do, plus when you're working over top of a camera. But this is a K9 badge, Sheriff's Office badge for a K9 handler, and it's got the thin blue line for the ones that don't know. And so that's that. And now I'll go put it on the vehicle. After I told y'all that I was going to put the other one on the vehicle, I got to thinking my windows are tinted black in the back, so I'm going to save that other decal, and I'm going to do this one a little bit different. Try to get that where you can see it. So I'm going to layer the blue and the gray over top of the badge. So we're going to do this all over again. Alright. Lift the backing paper. Now that one came out right. Alright, let's get this one out the way. Okay, so that's round two. Now, let me get that to focus a little bit. Everywhere that's white, when I put that on my glass on the back of my truck, it's gonna be black. So I'm not really gonna need the black background like this, but I'm sure I'll find something else to do with that one. But as you can see here on this one, the lines actually did a whole lot better there. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it close, and I think I hit that one dead even the way I intended to do the first time. But anyhow, so that's my decal. I spent, like I said early in the video, I spent probably 4 hours drawing this thing out myself. It's hard to draw with a mouse. I don't have a drawing tool or nothing like that. But anyhow, I drew it. I got it done now. So now all I got to do is just cut them out when people need them. Now I'm going to go put this one on my vehicle, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Just one other thing I just thought of. It's kind of stupid, but it seems to help people out. What I do when I do these decals, if you're going to cut around them, sometimes I'll take and cut the corner off. Then I'll turn around and put that thing back on there. That way it leaves, just like when you buy a new roll of tape, it leaves a tab to where when people need to get a hold to it and take it off, they can take it off and not have to hunt for the edge. But anyhow, figured I'd just add that little tidbit. Alright, I've got that on there. Still have the transfer paper. I like to use a paper towel because it's nice and slick, plus it's cold outside. It's about 35 degrees and not the right time to be putting decals on the window. But I rub it real good with a paper towel, and I did clean it with a Windex first. So now I'm gonna finish this up and then remove the transfer tape. Alright, try to hold the phone and do this at the same time. I just pull it off real easy. If it was hot out here, if it was about 80, 70 degrees or so, it would work a lot better. But it seems to be going on pretty good. Alright, so that's that. Just gonna give it a good push and make sure I ain't gonna lose any later. Alright guys, so there's my finished decal. I don't think it looks too bad. I've never seen one like it. Here's one that I've also done. But if you happen to like doing decals or whatnot, or if you got any questions, feel free to hit me up with a comment and I'll try to answer the best I can. I do a little bit of everything, so I'm new at YouTube, so I'll start posting a lot more videos to come as I do things, because there's no telling what I'm liable to put on here. Stuff from four-wheelers to woodworking to decals, you name it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.